facts you never knew about Home Alone. Number 1. Buzz's girlfriend was a boy.
Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof.
While a young boy who stumbles across any picture of a girl is likely to make some kind of noise, Kevin's reaction to finding Buzz's picture of his girlfriend in a trunk of his private things was pretty harsh. So harsh that the director thought it would be really horrible to put an actual girl's picture in the frame. Imagine being that girl when this movie raised to cult level. Instead, he used a photo of a boy made up to be a girl, pulling a comedic, over-enthusiastic, and slightly scary smile for the camera. Number 2. Macaulay's brother's debut. Remember the Pepsi-guzzling younger cousin named Fuller who wet the bed that Kevin was doomed to have to share that fateful pre-travel night? His name is Kieran Culkin, and he's Macaulay's younger brother. This was his first movie, but he went on to do some other pretty awesome movies. Not as awesome as Home Alone, of course. Although some of the titles will ring a bell, like The Cider House Rules, Igby Goes Down, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Okay, maybe he did do some pretty impressive stuff. But watch Home Alone again, knowing this kid is MK's younger brother, and you'll see the remarkable likeness. Number 3. The One-Take Tarantula. If you can remove yourself from pure entertainment when watching a film and think about the stuff that some actors have to do when filming, some of it can be quite hairy, like Daniel Stern in that scene with the tarantula. You actually see one of its legs going into his mouth. Daniel Stern, the tall, lanky wet bandit, agreed to have the tarantula on his face for one take and one take only, and what a gem! He couldn't actually scream because it would have scared the spider, so he had to mime it. He must have had some incredible self-control to curb that desire to totally freak out. Number 4. That Gangster Film. "Keep the change, you filthy animal," was a classic line in the movie. Any gangster movie lovers out there might have seen Home Alone and tried to get their hands on the movie that bore that fantastic scene. Alas, the VHS that Kevin finds belonging to his uncle entitled Angels with Filthy Souls isn't actually a real movie. Sadly, it consists of just that one scene. The faux film scene was created just for its starring role in Kevin's experience of being left behind and torturing the men who were trying to rob his house. Number 5. The One-Day Actor. So what's up with the lovable big guy with the orange jacket and brass band in the back of a truck who rescues Kevin's mom from the airport of no flights today? John Candy is the actor's name, and it all may seem a little familiar if you've seen him in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, because he based the character on his work in that film. John Candy did his very important role of Home Alone in one day. That's right, one day. It was a 23-hour day. So if you think of how much of that is to do, it's kind of insane. Home Alone. The movie was such an incredible success recognized in Hollywood that it actually became a verb used in the industry. Screenwriter William Goldman said that the crazy flight that Home Alone took meant that any other movie that was on at the theaters was pretty much looked over, regardless of how good they may have been. So, it's now a thing in Hollywood to say that your movie was Home Alone. If it didn't get the box office hit, it should have been, because there was one movie that was playing at the same time that simply took the movie business by storm. Number 7. The McAllister House. A lot of people know about this house. It's now a tourist destination purely because of the fact that it was in the movie. The whole of the film was shot in this 5-bedroom house and on sound stages in studio. The house is almost 100 years old and was recently sold by the couple who owned it during the filming to an unidentified buyer for almost $2 million. The inside of the house isn't exactly decorated as the movie was, obviously, and there is one other addition to the house that was just for filming purposes: the treehouse. Number 8. The whole thing was filmed in Chicago. This is pretty amazing if you think about what most movies do for establishing location and how many different sites they have. A lot of films even use completely different locations to act as doubles for the settings. Studios are built to provide huge spaces for this purpose. Home Alone, however, was totally shot in Chicago and was done in a lot of wonderfully creative ways. For instance, did you know that they used the local school swimming pool as the flooded basement? Number 9. Elvis made an appearance. There are those who believe that Elvis or Tupac are still alive. People claim to spot Elvis in particular, and apparently he features in Home Alone. In the scene when Kevin's mom is going ballistic at an airline clerk at the desk, apparently Elvis decided to do some extra work. It's right before she meets the big lovable John Candy character. There is an Elvis lookalike, or the real deal, standing in line behind her, sporting a dashing beard, black turtleneck, and a rather grim version of the jackets he was known for. Number 10. That Scream Face. You know that really famous painting called The Scream? It's a pretty creepy and brilliant piece of artwork by Edward Munch that shows a rather ghostly figure with his hands to its face, which suggests pain, horror, and obviously a scream. Munch painted the figure with the purpose of depicting a soul in torment, but little did he know that this image would serve to influence the artistic minds behind a movie so many years later. You'll probably remember that the poster features Kevin pulling a similar face after applying aftershave for the first time. This scream was inspired by the famous painting. Number 11. Birth of the Talk Boy. Most movies have product placement. Phones, tablets, TVs, and other devices or products are used throughout the movie to make us see them in a subliminal super commercial. There are also those devices that don't exist yet, like Talkboy. The toy that Kevin had was originally just a prop. It didn't work and wasn't anything more than a tool for the plot. After the movie hit it big, however, people put pens to papers and demanded to see them made. And they were. Number 12. The furnace was just the beginning. The horrible devil furnace in the basement that tortured Kevin with its slapping iron jaws and flaming eyes was just one element of what Chris Columbus wanted in the montage of Scary House. Originally, Columbus planned to have a dream where the house was after Kevin, tormenting him through all sorts of other scary things like nutcrackers. What stopped this artistic flood was money, unfortunately. They had to cut budget somewhere, so the furnace took the full credit for the horrors of the house and was created with nothing more than a couple of guys with fishing line and flashlights. Number 13. Beyond Famous. Although it's amazing and celebrated that this festive movie is just too good not to revisit at some point in your many Christmases since it first came out, in Poland it's something totally revered. Home Alone was a Guinness World Record holder for the highest grossing kids film ever and was a huge hit in the US. We know that. In Poland, however, it was one of the first Western films that was shown there after the fall of communism. Every year since, it is shown on TV over Christmas. This did spread to a lot of other European traditions, and the film is just as popular in Europe as it is in the US. Number 14. The role of Kevin. Chris Columbus wrote the part of Kevin McAllister for Macaulay Culkin, based on a video of the boy that had him in front of the letterbox talking to a babysitter. The whole thing was set up, the boy was cast, the script written. Columbus had a reputation for perfection, however, and he was at the beginning of something magical I'm sure he knew. Although he had it in his mind that the role should belong to Macaulay, he still went through the process of holding auditions and put on tape hundreds of kids for the role, just to be absolutely sure. Culkin still came out on top, obviously, and kept his role. Number 15. Joe Pesci's Mark. There was some serious actors lined up for the roles of the wet bandit robbers of this film. Robert De Niro even declined. Joe Pesci has been known for some pretty crazy and intense roles, including Goodfellas, and as a method actor, he takes his roles very seriously. While on set, he wouldn't socialize with Culkin and made a point of avoiding him altogether, so as to make it easier for the young boy to be afraid of him. In the scene where the two bandits hang the poor kid on a hook in the bathroom, Pesci's character says he's gonna bite all your fingers off. He actually accidentally bit Culkin so hard that it broke the skin and left a scar. Number 16. There'd really be no survivors. The wonderful thing about this movie is the fun slapstick nature of it. The tricks and funny horror never leave you feeling truly afraid. But in real life, these two bandits would never have survived BB gun shots, flying cans of paint to the face, blowtorches to scalps, the list goes on. There was one man, Dr. Ryan St. Clair, who put it all to reality and outlined all the real injuries that would have been inflicted upon these two guys. For example, the more extreme blowtorch to the head would have caused Harry's skull to be so damaged and rotted that his skull bone would essentially be dying and would require a transplant. That's heavy. Number 17, Old Man Marley. The character that is Kevin's neighbor, who at first appears as just really old and scary face and maliciously scrapes salt over the ice, was never part of the original script, Columbus has stated. The injection of a more sentimental character was needed, so Old Man Marley was introduced to serve the part. He is a kind of cornerstone to the whole Christmas theme of love and forgiveness, and also stands as a symbol of not judging a book by its cover, or believing the rumors a boy who calls himself Buzz tells you, for that matter. Number 18, four-letter words. We all know what kind of work Joe Pesci was used to, so it's no wonder he wasn't exactly family-friendly with his language. Apparently, the actor had a hard time not pulling the pin on his F grenades and often spewed out profanities. Columbus worked with the actor and guided him to start using the word fridge instead, which is where that comes in the script. There is one profanity that slipped through the movie, though. Daniel Stern managed to not have his SHIIT cut from his scene when struggling through the doggy door. Number 19, Guinness record holder. As mentioned before, this movie was a Guinness Book of World Records holder, pretty popular throughout both the US and Europe, and had a huge amount of success. Let's just touch on that Guinness record properly, though. The movie topped the box office with $17,081,997 on its opening weekend. It stayed in the number one spot for 12 weeks and was still in the top 10 the following June. Home Alone was the highest grossing film of the year 1990 and also holds the title of the highest grossing live-action comedy ever domestically. Not too shabby. Number 20, A Lesson for Chris Columbus. Chris Columbus has done family films that have kids in the cast besides his first epic Home Alone. Mrs. Doubtfire and Home Alone 2 feature in his directorial portfolio. Here's a great lesson of the industry that he learned while working on Home Alone. When you hire a child actor, you hire his or her whole family, and you'll also be dealing with whatever is going on in their personal lives at the moment. Culkin's family was somewhat of a rougher-on-the-edges circle, to put it lightly. Columbus witnessed and had to consider what was going on with Culkin and his family offset while shooting the film.